Usually, I'd say 90+% of the art that we deliver is it's vector art. So
That makes sense.
it has to be used in all these different, all these crazy different ways. Sometimes it's blown up to the size of the side of a building, so it realistically has to be usable, clean vector art. Sometimes we do get to do a nice, beautiful, fully rendered kind of illustration. But for the most part, we do have to clean it up. So, I'm going to lock my layer there. And so when I start inking, we have this kind of setup where we have all these different brushes to ink with. And so I'll start with that. Now, today I'm gonna do a standard inking on Mickey. So kind of the classic Disney style with the line art and everything. But a lot of what we do too is the flat art. So I'll do just a quick example of that. Just flat colored art that kind of how we would approach that is just creating
Head to
the shapes
busy areas.
themselves. And I should pull over a finished. Maybe so I drop colors. Okay. So these are the actual live pieces of art for the Sorcerer program. So I'll pull him over to here, so that I can eye drop colors and stuff. So if we wanted to do just flat art, which we do a lot of, because it's a little, it's a little bit more modern, especially for park stuff. We do this a lot. And like I said, this is going to be kind of the quick version of this. But basically with flat art, we're just using flat shapes to create the stuff, and then clipping this to kind of build it out, and then we can use line art to define the separations.
Okay, your Bezier curves are great. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that right now. Like, oh my God.
So like that would be, the sorcerer's hat as like a flat piece of art. So we do a lot of that sort of thing. Today I'm going to do some actual inking. So
What's your favorite step in this process?
The drawing. This is not my favorite part, and it's just a different mindset. Definitely a different kind of part of your brain to totally clean things up, and you can't really escape losing some of the appeal of a sketch. If you do a good job, you kind of retain as much as you can, but you're still going to lose some of it. So, but it is the reality of, we're not putting sketches on finished stuff. Although when we do, there's times when we do. And I do
overcome that? Like different techniques you can use within the programs or different?
Yeah.
So I know there's like sketch style and stuff. but-
Yes, definitely, and there's different brushes and stuff you can use if you're
Yeah.
shooting for a specific style.
Mhm.
And so we can, and I'll show an example of like stuff we've done with Princess that is vector art, but still has a very illustrated
Yeah.
look to it.
Yeah, because I've always admired like the sketch style.
Yeah, I love doing that stuff. But even with, the limitations of vector art, you can still get a lot out of it if you kind of know your way around it.
Are there any different like brush packs or anything you recommend in particular for it?
Not specifically for Illustrator. I have all my brushes in Photoshop for sure,
Yeah.
but, or Procreate too. As far as Illustrator brushes, a lot of times I'll create my own. I'll pull over like a line or a texture that I like, that I've just drawn, and I'll pull it into Illustrator and vectorize it. We use a program called Inkscape to basically line trace our drawn line, and still retain kind of the texture and everything to it. So there are definitely ways to go about it. Inkscape is one. If you just want to kind of translate your sketched drawing to a final thing, that's definitely one way to do it. It's a separate program. So you'll see as I'm doing this that I'm kind of overlapping all of my lines. And that is intentional because I'm going to eventually come back in and clean them up, but it makes it easier at least, to have the overlap so that we can create the shapes that we need for the final color.